Next up, we have Martin Juza's Jund Energy Aggro. This deck is really awesome and uses a lot of the powerful cards from the new sets, but this time, instead of Mardu, it's the Jund aspect. Let's take a look and see what happens. Here's our opening hand for the match with Martin Juza's Jund Energy Aggro, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to ship this one. We do have one land. This deck only has 20 main deck lands in it, actually, so a little bit low, but the curve is low as well. That being said, we have a game trail, which is going to enter the battlefield tapped, as I don't have another forest or mountain to reveal to it. So even though we're on the draw, I think we're going to go down to 6 and see if we can hit a little better. This looks like a pretty good 6, a little bit slow in this format. Having, your first interaction on turn 4 and then 5 is not the best, but certainly a card, rather a hand that I'm going to keep. And, well, this gives me a black source if I want to keep that. The black cards in this deck are Unlicensed Disintegration and Activation of the Scrap Heap Scrounger, so I can probably get away with bottoming it. This deck also has like 4 Attune with Ethers to find additional black sources, so I think I'm going to bottom and just look for interactive spells here. Turn 1 we're going to lead with the Cinderglade because I don't have multiple basics in my opening hand, and we don't have anything to do on turn 1, so I gotta go turn 1 Cinderglade, turn 2 Game Trail, reveal the forest, play Scrap Heap Scrounger, turn 3 play the forest, and then hopefully just curve out from there. Spire Bluff Canal from the opponent. They're probably on some form of copycat. Second Chandra, obviously not the best draw in the world. We're gonna need to find a way to deal with the combo. Yeah, and with an Inspiring Vantage, almost certainly. Oh, okay, maybe not. So a lot of the Mardu Vehicles decks run a Spire Bluff Canal, like 1 in the main deck and then 2 in the sideboard, in addition to cards like Metallic Rebuke and Negate. So looks like I was a little bit thrown off at the beginning there by the turn 1 Spire Bluff Canal, but would not be surprised if this is just Mardu Vehicles. Alright, Voltaic Brawler, not terrible. So let's go with the Game Trail, revealing the forest. And I think I'm going to go ahead and play out the Brawler here. Get some energy, and threaten a block. I don't want to just play out the Scrap Heap Scrounger, because then I'm taking 3 with the opponent not having to do anything. This way they have to use a removal spell if they want to attack their Motorist into the Brawler without a trade occurring. And I think I'm pretty happy to do this here. With multiple Planeswalkers in my hand, I'd like the board to be as clear as possible. Alright, Ether Sphere Harvester from the opponent. A mountain off the top for me, and again, I revealed the forest to the opponent off of the Game Trail, so let's do that to give them as little information as possible. We do have the necessary mana to cast Chandra next turn, which is good. But again, with no removal in my hand, I'm not the happiest. Let's see. In our sideboard, we get 4 Fatal Push, an additional Shock, 2 Sky Sovereigns, which will be very, very good. Probably end up taking out like the Nissa out of the main deck, and maybe even a Chandra or a Fleetwood Cruiser. Fleet Wheel Cruiser, rather, not a Fleetwood. Fleetwood Mac. Okay. So Veteran Motorist number 2, Veteran Motorist number 3. Of course, the first one we traded with. We really need to draw some removal. I might have to just play out the Chandra and shoot the Motorist. Looks like I'm probably going to be taking 5 here, as that untapped Motorist probably is going to end up crewing. Yep. So 5 damage, opponent gains 5 life. And we're a little bit behind. There's that. It's like I summoned it to the top. Yeah, I think we just jam Chandra here, take care of one of the Motorists. This is great still. I mean, Chandra's going to be 4 mana to kill a creature and gain some amount of life, probably at least 3. Not the worst, certainly. Especially given the fact that I have a second Chandra in my hand. Hopefully the opponent runs out of creatures, but well, that's almost certainly too much of a pipe dream as they've scryed twice. Although I didn't check. What did they do? What did they do with their lands? Or rather cards on top of their library. Oh gosh, the old double top. So the nice thing is they topped twice with the first motorist, so they didn't actually get to look at any new cards with the second one. But that does mean, presumably, the cards that they did leave on top are very, very good. Would not be surprised to see like a Gideon in my future. Maybe even another motorist. Oh, there's the Heart of Kirin. Okay. Wow, the 4th motorist. Opponent has drawn 4 motorists this game. All in the top 12 cards. That's very, very unlikely. Okay. So that motorist crews the Harvester. I imagine we'll be taking 4, and Chandra takes 3. So 4 mana to kill a creature and gain 3 life. Not the worst case scenario for Chandra. We're still in a bit of a rut here, of course. And another Scrap Heap Scrounger is not really doing me any favors. We're just going to make the same play that we did the previous game. Chandra, shoot a motorist. And again, since the Scrap Heap Scrounger can't block, there is absolutely no reason to leave it back. Okay. Just got to try to run the opponent out of creatures. Which means I would love to draw a Shock next turn or a Harness Lightning. But if the opponent kept, another creature on top, then we're in pretty bad spots here. Thraben Inspector, Toolcraft Exemplar. A clue off of the Inspector, and actually, can they kill me? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They can put me to 1 this turn. Thraben Inspector can crew the Harvester. Exemplar can crew the Heart of Kirin after going to combat trigger. Alright, begin combat. Toolcraft Exemplar gets +2/+1. Crews the Heart of Kirin. And you know what? They probably just go to my face this time. Chandra on 1 is not that valuable, and putting me to 1 life is probably pretty good. But then again, they have so many creatures and they're so far ahead that there's no harm in them killing Chandra, I feel. Yeah, looks like the Harvester's going to be aimed at Chandra, and I'm going to end up taking 7 points of damage. Alright, well, this game is pretty much over. And I don't think a Blooming Marsh is going to save me at this point. Alright, so let's scoop them up. Let's go to sideboarding, and let's see what we can do. Alright, all 4 Fatal Push, as we mentioned. That Shock. And I'm going to bring in this 2 Sky Sovereigns as well. Gear Hulk. I mean, I can try going over the top, but I don't think this is the matchup for that. I think we just want to take out some number of our Planeswalkers. Maybe our Cruisers. Take out a Chandra. Oh, Tireless Tracker is not great in a grindy matchup like this. It just ends up being like a 3-mana 3/2 that sometimes gets you some value, but that's not the type of threat I want. Alright, need to take out 1 more card. It could just be another Chandra. In this matchup, to me, Chandra feels like a worse Sky Sovereign, right? That's probably okay to do. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Now, I am adding a ton of removal. We now have access to 4 Fatal Push, 3 Shock, 2 Harness Lightning, 4 Disintegration, a Chandra, and 2 Sky Sovereigns, but I think that's good. Again, this deck only runs 20 lands, so we're going to have to hope to hit our land drops on time and find those black sources, but I think this is how I'm going to sideboard, and let's go to Game 2. Alrighty, here we are for Game 2 with Martin Juza's Jund Energy Aggro. We are playing against Mardu Vehicles. We are on the play, and this has to be a keep. I have 2 Attune with Ethers in my hand. So turn 1, we get to go Forest, Attune with Ether, get either a forest, or rather a mountain or a swamp. And then turn 2 we can Scrap Heap Scrounger. Turn 3 we can, again, Attune with Ether and play one of our other removal spells. I'm going to go ahead and just start off by getting a red source here. We know we want to get multiple red sources for the Chandra in our hand, so let's do that. Ooh, Game Trail. That was a really nice draw. So we're going to play the game trail, reveal the mountain that we picked up, and play the Scrounger. That means we can get a swamp now with the Attune with either in our hand. We have access to all of the removal. Next turn, I get to go Attune with either holding up Fatal Push and Shock. All right, speaking of Fatal Push, opponent just pushed my Scrap Heap Scrounger down a cliff. Veteran Motorist, a lovely shock target, of course. Would really like to say Fatal Push for like Heart of Kirin. That's like the dream. Opponent had to use their energy off of the Ether Hub to produce the red for Motorist, notably. Ooh, another lovely draw. Alright, so let's make that play. Attune with Ether. Getting the Swamp. Shocking the Motorist right now. Playing the Swamp out and holding up Fatal Push. Hopefully, I get to just Fatal Push a creature here end of turn and then play Chandra. But hey, opponent didn't play anything. That's even better for me. Now I get to just slam down the Chandra and start getting incremental value. Boop. Alright, Blooming Marsh was the reveal with Chandra's +1 exile at the top. There's a Plains for the opponent, but they're still missing their red sources. Gideon, of course, could be an issue, but so be it. Alright, Forest off the top for us. I can kill Gideon here. Oh, wait, no, I can't. I don't actually have an artifact on the battlefield right now for my unlicensed disintegration. Okay, that's interesting. So let's plush Chandra and see what we hit. Another Blooming Marsh. Alright, let's redirect to Gideon. And I guess I'm going to attune with either here and get another mountain. Wow, that's not great for us. Now, I couldn't get another swamp because this deck only runs one swamp in the main, so I couldn't hold up Disintegration plus Fatal Push here. But, yeah, this is not the best case scenario for us. Opponent is threatening Chandra here. Activate Gideon +1, turn him into a 5/5, and then attack with both Gideon and the Knight ally. And he does become indestructible. Yes. So, funny thing, though, you can also try Fatal Pushing Gideon, but, I mean, he's indestructible, I'm just saying. It would be cute if that was the case. Alright, both at Chandra, we will use the Fatal Push on the token. Chandra goes down to 1. Let's see what follow-up the opponent has. Thraben Inspector, sure. And sacking the clue immediately, playing down their land. And I want to draw an artifact here. Artifact would be real good for me. Ooh. How's that for an artifact? Okay, so if I plus Chandra, I can actually play Sky Sovereign and hold up Unlicensed Disintegration, which might be better. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, I think that might actually be better than just +1ing. Let's do that. Add 2 red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, Sky Sovereign can shoot Planeswalkers. So let us shoot Gideon and say goodbye, sir. Now the opponent's going to need a shock or something to kill Chandra this turn. They could also try to play Gideon and Emblem, but that would be pretty good for me if they did. I'm not going to Disintegration the Thraben Inspector here. I don't mind it hitting Chandra for 1. We'd like to save the Disintegration for a bigger, scarier target. Alright, another Ether Hub from the opponent. And a Depala, okay. Now the question is, do I want to shoot that end of turn here? I think the answer is yes, just to free up my black mana. And we know we want to kill that eventually anyways. I'd like to save that for a vehicle, but since they didn't play one this turn, they can't attack with one next turn. Alright, Brawler is a pretty nice draw as it single-handedly crews. Let's exile the top. Another land, Blooming Marsh number... Wow, we've hit 3 Blooming Marshes off of the Chandra. Kind of silly. Alright. We'll take a Brawler. Now, I am running into an unlicensed Disintegration if they have it, but I mean, I can't continuously play around it all game. If they have it, they have it. Now is the time to do it since they don't have an artifact. Perfect, that's fine. If they had an artifact on the battlefield, I'd be more inclined to not crew there and just hold it back. Oh wait, no, that doesn't even make sense. Because then they would just do it on my Brawler, or yeah, on my Brawler to kill the Chandra. But yeah, great to do it there while they don't have an artifact so that Chandra still lives. And yeah, if the opponent kills my Brawler main phase, I do get to bring back my Scrap Heap Scrounger. Pia is a little bit annoying, of course. Alright, Chandra getting another ping here. The nice thing is the opponent only has access to 1 red mana right now, which means they can't pump up their Thopter too many times. Harness Lightning, a pretty good draw. All right, let's uptick Chandra again. And yeah, you know what? I think I like a 1 mana 3/4. I have plenty of energy, so no harm in doing that. Let's attack in for 4, use an energy, make the Brawler a little bit bigger. And we're just going to main phase kill the Pia here. Again, this way, the Thopter cannot kill her. Rather, the Thopter cannot kill Chandra alone. And we look to be in a good spot. If they kill either of my creatures, I have the Scrap Heap Scrounger from the graveyard. They have to focus a lot of their attention on Chandra, who again is just getting a lot of nice value. If you remember during sideboarding, I took out all but 1 of the Chandras. But the big difference here is that we were on the play, and we had, what, 3 or 4 removal spells to back her up. We're not always going to get that good of a draw. Ew, another Disintegration from the opponent, killing the Brawler. Alright, so that was a good draw for them for sure. Effectively 2 for 1-ing me, but I do have that Scrounger that I get to bring back from my graveyard at the end of their turn. Now that I have a creature to exile. Alright, and with the opponent on 9 life, we are in a very nice spot. I'm not even going to waste this Fatal Push. Killing the Thraben Inspector is not worth it. Much rather save that for a vehicle, if they draw one. And the opponent didn't even block, so good news for us. Alright, Veteran Motorist. Scry again. Motorist is one that we could consider killing with Fatal Push. That means that the opponent has to double chump with their Inspector and their Thopter, provided they don't have anything else to do in their hand. And I think that's worth it. Definitely. It also frees up our black mana. Again, since I only have 1 black source at the moment, makes sense to use it while we can. I should probably take note of what the opponent does here. Because if they scry to the top, then, you know, maybe that changes something. Alright, double top. Okay, wow. And then they play the land for the turn. So yeah, absolutely just going to use the Fatal Push here. I'm going to kill your Motorist. I go to attacks. They have to double chump. And that will be the game. Alright, so let's go to sideboarding. Where we will now be on the draw, which is so much worse. The Mardu Vehicles deck just really, really vrooms off the ground. Alright, that was a bad joke. But it goes pedal to the metal. Sorry, again, another bad joke. While they're on the play, which the opponent is going to be. I think we just have to ship it back and hope to have a hand that has a reasonable amount of removal spells. I think Fatal Push here is just our best spell. By far. Disintegration is nice, but it is a little bit more expensive. Fatal Push can kill basically everything the opponent does, unless they have Sky Sovereigns of their own. Assuming I can enable Revolt, which is a little bit awkward, of course, but even just killing any of their random creatures is so good. So, let's run it back. Let's go to Game 3 versus Mardu Vehicles with Martin Juza's Jund Energy Aggro and see if we can take it down. Game 3, Jund Energy Aggro versus Mardu Vehicles, and we have a very nice opening hand. We are on the draw, though, which makes this slightly worse, but we have all three of our colors and a Fatal Push. Yeah, can't go wrong with this hand. So let's lead with the Blooming Marsh, and let's... So the thing about playing out the Rampager is that it's not actually that good here. It gives me one energy, but then what am I doing, you know? Oh, God, I almost want to just pass and hold up the Fatal Push. I think that might be better for tempo purposes. Like, have them play one of their 2-drops here, I Fatal Push it, perfect, and then I have the first creature on the battlefield. Whereas if I had played the Green Belt Rampager turn 1, it would have just bounced to my hand, I would have had 1 energy, nice, but then I play a creature, they kill it, and they start beating me in. So, I think this was a nice line. Either hub, not a bad draw. And we're going to lead with the... I guess we lead with the Cub because it's the most threatening. And what I can do is I can play the Brawler next turn, threaten to make it a 3-3. I can also just play Brawler next turn and then Rampager, which is nice. Alright, a Shock on my Cub and then an Inspector for the opponent. But now I'm going to go ahead and make that play of Brawler into Green Belt Rampager. That does suck up all of my energy, but now I have 2 potent threats on the battlefield, and the opponent's a little bit stuck on mana. Alright, another Motorist for the opponent. So it looks like they didn't top any of the lands with the first Motorist. Let's see if they bottomed or topped here. They bottomed both, so they're probably digging. Game Trail, not a bad draw. We definitely want to get to 5 with our Sky Sovereign. I'm going to go for a Shock on the Motorist. And bash the opponent here for 6. And we are just in great shape. Game Trail. No land to reveal, but a Long Tusk Cub as well. And I imagine if we draw an untapped land next turn, we probably can't lose. Oh, opponent's sacking the Clue too, so yeah. And that'll be doing it. Wow. So this Jund Energy Aggro deck is really solid. Obviously, our opponent was having land issues there, but the sideboard for Fatal Push just makes it a nice complement against other aggro decks, and I think the energy can really, really go a long way. So that was Martin Juza's Jund Energy Aggro. He top-8'd Pro Tour Either Revolt, of course. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and check out the Jund Energy Aggro list if you're interested. It looks really fun.